welcome to another AIC Productions video. Today I'm doing a 2-week update review on my Blue R1 HD. As I said, I've had this phone about 2 weeks, and it's really making a good case to become my main phone. I've had an iPhone, I had an iPhone 4, I've had a bunch of Android phones, a bunch of Windows phones, and I've always kind of juggled between phones because I've never really found one that met all of my needs. Now, I had a Galaxy S4, and that was the closest one that I thought kind of met my needs and my wants, and I was happy with it. But when I switched away from Verizon, obviously I couldn't use the S4 on T-Mobile, at least not with all the T-Mobile features. So I have kind of been bouncing around some inexpensive phones, because especially with T-Mobile, one of the advantages is being able to just put your SIM card in any phone, and away you go, any unlocked phone, I should say. And that's one reason why I picked up the Blues, because I wanted something that was inexpensive and was feature-rich and felt like a nice phone. Now, some of the things I've liked about this phone since I've had it is, number one, battery life. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've used this phone for a number of phone calls and browsing Reddit and checking my emails and checking my status on my YouTube channel, things like that. And I'm at 80%. If my camera will focus, there we go. That's pretty good. Most days I end up with between 45 and 55% by the time I'm going to bed, which is really good. A lot of the other phones I've had more recently, other than my Windows phones, by the time I was going to bed, man, I was pushing maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20% of battery life. What's really nice about that, or of having that 45% battery life, is I end up having to go somewhere late in the evening that is unexpected, or if I forget to plug in my phone, which I've done before, I'm not completely out of water and out of luck. So having that little bit of wiggle room when I go to bed at night is really nice. I also like the way it looks. I think it looks much better and more expensive than it is. Remember, this phone costs $60 if you buy the Amazon phone version. It's $110 if you buy the non-Amazon phone version. I've dropped it a number of times and it's held up real well to my drops. Normally I'm really good about not dropping phones, but I've dropped this phone a number of times. But the metal here on the side has stayed relatively nice. Again, I've only had it 2 weeks, but I've ruined phones in less time than that. But it looks really nice, screen looks nice, the back has a nice texture to it. So it feels a lot more expensive than it is. I would really like the screen on it for an inexpensive phone. It has a nice screen. It's easy to read. I have the brightness down pretty low for the video. But it's got a very nice brightness to it. It's easy to see in daylight outside. Even when you don't even have to turn it up all the way. Usually I keep my brightness around here, I guess about 30% or so, and it's pretty good in most situations. The one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't get dim enough. So if I'm using it at night and I have to deal with a work issue, I can't I feel like I might wake my wife up sometimes with how bright it is. So that's one thing I wish it got a little bit darker. Another thing I like about it is I feel like it's plenty quick. Just launched an application here. I know this isn't the latest and greatest of apps, but on my other devices it seems to load fairly slow, and on this device it loads very quickly. It looks good on the screen. I don't want the ads. There we go. So as you can see, it's playing just fine. I'm going to die here because I'm not really paying attention. There we go. So, and then switching between apps switches pretty quickly, flows real quickly. Another ad. So it scrolls through things really nice and goes through menus really well. And the next thing I like about it, and your mileage may vary on this, but I like its signal. It does not currently have band 12. Supposedly that's going to be coming out in an update. But I find that I don't drop calls like I have with some of my other phones. And I don't get some of the poor call quality issues that are signal based on this phone with it, despite it not having band 12. So that's one issue that a lot of people seem to have, is they want a phone with band 12. I personally haven't missed it on this particular phone. I have had other phones that did not have band 12, and they were pretty terrible. This one, even without band 12, is pretty good. So I kind of actually look forward to it getting band 12. Some things about it that are neither here nor there. Again, band 12, it doesn't have band 12 currently. You can root it and get it on there, but you lose out some other things. So I haven't done that yet. If you notice, I did unlock my bootloader so I don't have ads on my screen. If you buy this one, you want to do that, it's up to you. There's a couple of... Google's your friend on that one. Another thing that's kind of about it is the camera. It's neither great nor terrible. I'll show you some pictures I've taken of my kids, because it's usually what I take most pictures of. So here's some pictures I've taken of stuff for something else. My bicycle. My Jeep. There we go. Here. So here's a picture of my daughter. She's 7 months old. It was my wife's birthday, so she got a little piece of cake. See, that one's a little blurry. That one's a little bit clearer. So it does okay with still shots, but with action shots, it can be pretty good. Or it can be pretty blurry. So I took some pictures of my older kids here, just sitting on the sofa watching TV. Like, this one's a really nice picture. It's really nice and clear. Where this one is quite blurry. So it's like every third shot when my kids are, because kids never stop moving. It's able to take a really good picture. 1/3 of the time it takes a good picture. 1/3 of the time it takes an picture, and 1/3 of the time it takes a very blurry picture, which is kind of funny, when you're trying to take a bunch of pictures very quickly. I think my Lumia 640 has a better camera. My LG K7 has a very similar camera. This one might be slightly better than that. I think they're both 8 megapixel. All three of them I think are 8 megapixel. A couple things I don't like about it is the speakerphone here on the back is not loud enough. You turn the volume up all the way and it's still quiet, at least to me. I'm a little hard of hearing, so I use my speakerphone, and most phones are okay. This one's a bit on the quiet side. The speaker that you actually listen through is a bit muffled sounding. Muffled's not the right word. It's not a very clear speaker. You can hear people just fine, but their voices are definitely a bit distorted. So like, my wife doesn't sound like my wife. She sounds like a 50-year-old smoker a little bit. I can understand everything she's saying, but it's a bit gravelly and deeper than her voice normally is. I don't know if that's just this specific phone. To me, that's not a huge deal breaker, because like I said, I can still understand everything she says just fine. It just has a bit of a funny sound to it. So those are my really only two complaints about the phone, is the volume of the speakerphone and the volume of the normal speaker on it. My wife seems to be able to hear me just fine on her phone. She has a Lumia 640 as well, and she can hear me just fine, no complaints there. Charging port here on the bottom, pretty typical. I like that it's off to the side a little bit, so you can have it on like a phone stand and still have it plugged in to charge. It's kind of funny. A lot of people make a big deal about where the headphone jack is. And I blame this on my iPod that I've carried around for the last 4 years. It's on the bottom, and I actually like it being on the bottom, because usually when I stick my phone in my pocket, I stick it down like this with the headphones sticking up. Then when I go to pull it out of my pocket, my hand's already There, I don't have to flip it around. I know that's kind of lame. So I've actually gotten used to the headphone jack being on the bottom. But I'm trying to use this and not use my iPod anymore. Trying to get away from having multiple devices. And so this phone, like I said at the beginning, is starting to make a really good case for itself being my only device. It's one of the few in a while that has been. I just wish that they enabled tap to wake up, which is something I know they can do with software. I've seen other phones do it where they've added that feature via software. So I've actually shot off an email to Blue saying, hey, is this something you can add? I haven't heard back from them. And they probably won't read my email, or if they do, it probably goes on the bottom of some pile somewhere. But it is a feature I'd really like to see on this phone that I've gotten used to with other phones. Anyways, if you have any questions about this phone, again, I've had about 2 weeks now, a little over 2 weeks now. I've really enjoyed it and looking forward to continuing to use it. I have a case coming for it, which I'll review as well, coming from Poetic. They do make really nice cases. And so when that review comes out, or when I get that case, I'll put out a new review for that. Thank you for watching and have a great day.